We're here today at Mount Vernon with a very special interview. It's not often we get to see a character behind the scenes, but we actually have Martha Washington here today, and we're going to ask her a little bit about her real self.
Well, thank you so much for asking, Becca. This is a very unusual circumstance indeed. In fact, I'm known all over the area as Mrs. Washington. It's very fortunate that in my other modern life, my initials are the same. So people call me MW, and it suits for both centuries. Though I really spend so much time here as Mrs. Washington, it is a little difficult to leave that behind, especially on such a beautiful day when we had so many visitors.
What is it that you have to do to play Martha Washington? I imagine it involves a little bit of studying behind the scenes.
A great deal to do this woman justice, my dear. I have had over 30 years experience interpreting many women of the period. I was many years at Colonial Williamsburg, where I was the artistic director for character interpretation, and I began a special interest in women's history. And that is how I began to know Martha Washington. I think that poor Mrs. Washington suffers so much from those old portraits that are left of her. She looks like a rather stodgy old lady in those portraits. And what I found when I began to do research about her as I was interpreting women's history was that she was anything but that. For the past 7 years, I have been Mount Vernon's official Martha Washington, and it has been a rare privilege to be able to bring to life for our visitors those things that are not known. Most of our visitors have no idea about the tragedies of her life, the drama of her existence, the loss of all of her children, the fact that she was with the general at every winter camp during the war. They know nothing of the first years of the presidency, when she and General Washington virtually created the presidency that we know today. In fact, Mrs. Adams was heard to say also that one of her troubles was that she wasn't Mrs. Washington when she took over. They don't know about their love of children, how they raised their grandchildren. Were they not the first president and great general, their story would still be a very dramatic one.
What is it that children can take away from meeting Mrs. Washington today?
I think that our young people today do not see older people in the same way we did, as I call them, you would say in anthropology, the venerated elder of the tribe who handed down the stories to the young people. And I think that's a shame. One of the unintended consequences of my portrayal is I think I've rather become the nation's grandmother. And because I am dressed in the way that I am, I'm an old person, but the young people see that I'm not trying to look young, and yet with the clothes of the day, and we know she wore fine clothes, they give me their attention.
And in real life, are you a normal person? Do you own a cell phone? Do you go to the grocery store?
Oh, yes, I do. In fact, as I dress at my home, which is on the river on Potomac Avenue, I often stop at a couple of little shops, and you'd be surprised how many people try to help me with my groceries because I'm Mrs. Washington. I think the one modern invention she would have liked is a cell phone, because often she's writing to her family, "I haven't heard from you. I wonder how you are. I can't rest." She would have liked to keep track of that. Oh, such a beautiful day to be greeting our visitors.